I with Ryan Coogler because he gave me what I needed. And what I needed was this. Here's your warning, guys.
Yep.
We're going to talk some specifics about the film. If you do not want to hear, press stop right now.
Yeah.
Pause.
Right.
Whatever, okay?
Pause it, come back once you finished.
And then comment.
Yeah.
All right. I warned you, and I'm going in. Benhameen. I fucks with Ryan Coogler because he gave me what I needed. And what I needed was to shoot up some crackers. The KKK.
Completely has absolutely nothing to do with the goddamn plot for no reason. It was like Marvel's post-credit scene. You know, like it was like the one where Captain America sits down and talks to you because you know it has nothing to do with anything, but you still loved it. You know,
I'm laughing because this is. You remember I said I had a lot of comedy for me. I was rolling like the way Ryan was like, and now we're gonna shoot everybody. Lived. When I said satisfying, this is the other reason why. It was at times for no. There's always a reason to shoot
KKK members.
Fascists and KKK and all that other stuff. And Nazis and all that. There's always a reason for that.
Always. Great reason. Fantastic.
In the context of a storyline of the film, maybe there wasn't a reason, but so what?
Had nothing to do with anything.
So what?
But it was awesome.
He was there. At the end, when homeboy was laying on the ground, the Grand Wizard was on the ground. Benhameen was talking about. Listen, the reason why that was so funny. Talk about why that was so funny. Go ahead.
Because, like I said, Tatiana, you didn't grow up on the same movies I grew up on. Like I grew up watching '80s action films at home with my brother Andrew Higgins. Shout out to my bro. Shout out to Ashley. And what we would do, like I have a specific memory of watching Commando and pausing it and like counting, the amount of what are they called? Squigs. Squids, I think they're called. Yeah, when the bloods that explode. Yeah, we would count them on every shot to be like, oh, they used 12 squids on this. And then we like when niggas do the dance, the bullet dance, bro, that was like one of our favorite moments in 80s action cinema. Anyone who's seen any 80s movie knows the bullet dance when someone's getting hit by the submachine guns and they're just
the ragdoll physics. And what's so funny about that is also the decisions the actor is making. Like that's what it's about.
The bullet dance is always about the actor themselves.
But they're being told to do this, but the way they go about it is what's so fucking funny. It's always extra and too animated.
It's like, it's like The Rock selling a Stone Cold Stunner.
It is like selling every single super move from every wrestler you've ever seen in the WWE. And it's just like, especially who would sell the Stunner the best?
The Rock
would sell the Stunner the best.
The nigga does a breakdance move.
Fishtail and that crazy.
The man will do his head will be on the mat and he'll do a spin. His feet will be straight up in the air.
Feet in the air.
Yeah, straight up in the air. My man does like a leaning tower of Pisa upside down. The Rock sold the Stunner like no one else.
And they did that every single chance.
And then he did this double bounce. Like
they did that twice. Every single chance they could get in Sinners. Every single time. There was no. Every gun, anything involving a gun, if it was more than just a pop shot, them niggas was getting taken. Their wig was getting thrown back all the way. Listen, oh my God, that was so funny. I mean, it was so refreshing for me.
I'm just talking about that whole scene. That whole scene was like, to me, because there wasn't, other guys got shot, the vampires got shot, but they never did the dance. But every nigga in that scene did the dance.
Well, they're also vampires, and they come right back up. Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
You can't do the dance. But them niggas was doing the dance.
People got to do.
And that the last one on the ground, my man had his arms out. He to the side. He doing that Homer Simpson when he's like rolling around on the circle on the ground.
And the other reason why Ben is saying like it doesn't have no bearing is because like this stuff has happened after the movies was essentially over.
The movie's over.
Everything was resolved essentially, right? Yes. Mainly.
Yeah.
But I was waiting for this moment specifically. Because this is the moment that you see in the trailers. You see a piece of it.
Yeah.
It did not go the way I expected.
No.
I thought it was going to be something totally different. And this is what I think I love. I love, you know, how we always complain, oh, they show too much in the trailer. No, they did this shit right. Ryan must have learned from Marvel about lying to niggas in the trailer because the way they shot that up is lies, nigga. Because when you see what fucking...
Because the trunk, and they mentioned the trunk earlier, they're like, oh, we gotta have to get the trunk. And so I'm like, ooh, what's in the trunk?
When
they don't even get the trunk
till the old school version of Pop the Trunk. I said, yes.
They popped the trunk, the movie's over.
Yeah. And then even I think it was who said that? Haley Steinfeld, you ain't got to pop the trunk. Like she basically said that. She said, no, you don't need to do that. Like, because to your point, the movie's over if that happens, right? Like just like if that happens during the let out, the shit is over if that happens, right? So
quite true.
I understood it. It all matched up.
I mean,
another thing that was fucking hilarious, the vampires. The white vampires specifically, because there are a mixture, there ends up being a mixture of vampires here. Them whiteys, were they from Ireland or were they from Scotland?
Ireland.
Were they Ireland or Scotland? Are you sure?
I'm pretty sure they were Irish.
Okay, the accent was giving
Irish and the dancing
Scottish and too. So the reason why I'm asking is because my man's the white vampire was river dancing on that ass.
Yes.
Is river dancing Irish?
As far as I know, but you might be right.
Yes, it's Irish. It's
okay,
Irish.
I thought so.
But the guy's accent was a little off to me. But anyway,
everyone's accent was a little off. Well, scenery was being chewed. Like, you know, the two leads, the vampire and the lead human, Michael, were both, you know, eating up that scene.
The vampires were so funny to me because they was the highest level of trolls you've ever seen in real life. When my man's they are holed up in this shack, fearing for their life. And my man's is outside with his boys, river dancing, talking about, I'm gonna kill all y'all. Like, I was crying laughing. Like, that sent me into fucking orbit when that shit went down. And just how they was taunting these people. Mm-hmm. Like, even when Haley went that way she went, and she was like, we're gonna kill all y'all. She scurried away. Like, that shit is, as soon as you become a vampire, you become infinitely funny. That's what I've learned from this film.
And see, again, like Lost Boys, you know, I always go back to Lost Boys because Lost Boys has a scene, Michael's the lead, Michael's the lead character, and he's a human at this point. And the lead vampire, he's in the vampire's cave chilling with them. You know, he doesn't know they're vampires. And they're all eating takeout food. And he hands them a Chinese box of noodles. And he tastes it, and he's like, oh, it's like some rice first. So first it was rice, and he's eating the rice. He's like, Michael, you're eating maggots, Michael. And he looks down again, and it's maggots in the fucking rice. And he throws it on the ground, and they're all cracking up because it's just rice again. And then he's like, oh, have some noodles. And he hands them the noodles, and it's
like worms or something?
Yeah, it's all kind of worms and shit.
How's this happening?
It's mind shit. You know, they never explain. Lost Boys has a lot of stuff about the vampires they just don't explain. They just do things. Okay. But my thing is,
do things.
I mean, it's dope though. And the reference,
the vampires are the worst of them.
Yeah, and the reference to Lost Boys that I didn't want to talk about in the spoiler part was the whole idea that if you kill the lead vampire, does the person turn back to normal? Because that's Lost Boys. And Lost Boys, they're trying to kill the lead vampire, so Michael will turn back to normal.
Got it.
And I love that this was like, nah, B.
Well, I'm trying to think because every like vampire stuff I've ever watched from my childhood on up. I don't think it's ever been that way. I think if I remember everything I've ever watched from like Blade, Queen of the Damned, like because Queen of the Damned was shot. I don't think there was everything like if you killed the
that's Lost Boys. That's what I mean. That's a straight.
Well, you're the progeny, your progenitor, or what's that called? The person ahead of you. If you killed them,
kill the arch vampires, what they're using.
Yeah.
And I feel like there's
I never heard of that. I didn't think there was ever a connection like that. So that was a new concept for me. I was like, oh, I didn't know that was possible.
Yeah, well, that is, I know that comes up in Lost Boys for the first time, at least for me. I'm not sure if it was in other vampires before that or whatnot, but that's a big point of Lost Boys.
Underworld, almost like
no, not enough. No.
I'm just saying them niggas. You could kill them if you made one of the other ones looking like, damn, he went out bad. Like,
I know there's somewhere like I think in Blade when he kills them, all the other ones die, right?
Maybe
I can't remember, but I know that's
link.
But like I say, Lost Boys is one of those films that if you're a vampire lover, you've seen and you're referencing, or it's referencing you, it's influencing you. So I would just love that Ryan gave that shout out to it. And it was also like that moment in Avengers when they're like, Back to the Future lied to me. I wanted to yell that out I wanted to yell that in the theater, but I didn't want to do that in this theater. I wanted to be like, Lost Boys lied. Because
and to your point of just the referencing and stuff, is just, and also just throwing us off. You fucking lied in the trailers. Great job.
Yeah.
Because it's like, oh, what you knew about vampires actually matched here, and it didn't. And there was still the traditional stuff, the garlic, the steaks, all that stuff, that the vampires being essentially impervious to bullets and stuff like that. Like, you got to truly, there's only a couple of ways to really kill them besides the sun itself. Like, that remains the same just in every story.
Another one that I felt like was a bit of influence that I loved was the original John Carpenter's The Thing, because The Thing has that same idea. Once all these people are trapped in a room and they don't know that which one of them is the thing. You've never seen The Thing, right?
But I know what it is.
It'll fuck you up. You got to see it. It's one of the things that you got to see. But it's like that where they all, because the thing infects people and can turn into people. So yeah, like it doesn't always look like a monster. Like sometimes
I thought it was always like a
sometimes it'll look just like you. So like it's for people, and there's this famous scene where they do this blood test because like I think it's if you hold fire to it, the thing reacts. So they all take a bit of their blood, put it in a tray, and then hold a match to it, and then finally it jumps on one of them, and they're like, "Nigga, you the thing," and that's But so it's that type of scene when they're all trying to figure out who's the vampire. That's what I was like. Yeah, this is a bit, I love it.
The bit was hilarious.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I'm not saying where he's like stealing from the thing. It's just great things like this influence all of us. And it's like, you give a little shout, it's like you a little shout there, a little shout to Lost Boys, shout to The Thing, I love it. And another thing we didn't discuss during the spoiler, and that I absolutely love. Like there's two things like as we're talking more about it, I really do like appreciate in this film. It's like one is the vampires and their whiteness and how like they come along trying to sing this white music to these people who are playing blues, and they're over here trying to sing this bullshit, and it's
they're doing limericks and shit.
Yeah, and it's like I was even kind of mad at Michael and them being like, oh, that's cool, but I think that's that vampire mental influence. Like they were doing a bit of that where they weren't really saying it, but they were showing that these vampires can influence your mind. Like when they start talking to you, you fall prey to them.
Right. And I think that's just and I was actually thinking about that when it came to what I was reviewing as the vampire rules in this universe.
Yes.
And I was actually going back and forth on that because the other main rule of most vampire things is that like vampires cannot cross this threshold unless you invite them in.
That goes back to the original.
So that, that remained true in this same situation. But then, I was thinking of things like True Blood, where it's like they have the power of glamour, right? Which is just OP charisma, right? Your charisma is plus 1,000. And at times, Sinners kind of made it like there was something there, but then it wasn't that strong. Where like for example, in True Blood, if somebody glamored you, your ass was done for. Like it was almost a trance. There was no coming out of it. Whereas in Sinners, you could see that it may have had an effect. Like there was even some like literally on screen physically, you could see hazing around the person. Like the screen became not screen, but the depth of field became a little blurry. Like you can tell that there was something affecting them. But it wasn't so much that it was just like that person was entrapped mentally. So that's why I was going back and forth. Was like, were they really have influence, or was it just because they were so fucking weird that you were just like trying to figure out, well, who is this person?
It's a bit of both, I think. And then also, I think it was another thing that I think represented visually was sometimes the vampire's eyes would turn red and sometimes they would go gray.
Yes.
And when they went gray, I think that was like what you were calling the glamour. And then the other side of it is, once again, going back to Lost Boys, is if the vampire's outside of your home, the powers don't work like that. Like in Lost Boys, how the vampire fools them, the lead vampire who they don't know, this is a bit spoiler for a 30, 40-year-old movie, but whatever, how they don't know that how he gets away from it, how they don't figure out the lead vampire is dating their mom. And they don't realize it because he comes over for dinner one night and they invite him in. And once they invite him in, they try all the tricks on him. They throw garlic at him. Then they get him to eat some garlic. They put a mirror in front of him, because they're not able to see their reflection.
They don't have reflections.
They throw holy water on him, and nothing happens. He eats the garlic. He sees his reflection. The holy water does nothing. And then at the end, when he reveals himself, he's like, nigga, y'all invited me in. Nothing works after you invite me in. So it's like, I think there's going with that same type of rule set here where unless they're inside, it doesn't work like that. You know what I mean? It's like, it's working, but it ain't working like,
it's
you
not
still
as
have that
powerful,
protection.
potent.
Because like the Asian woman was about to bounce. She was but she was, Mans is dead 8 minutes to her, and she was still considering it.
But I also attributed that to the fact that what was her husband was taunting her. She was already deeply, beside herself about what was happening. They threatened their child. So I just thought she was long gone. Forget the fucking glamour. She was fucking gone out of her mind at that point, because there was so much that just happened to her in a short span of time to fuck up her mind.
Yes, but Mans was still getting 8, and she was not that concerned. There was some glamoring going on. She was like, I know you listen to the show, you watching the show, you're enjoying the show, you loving For All Nerds. So why haven't you told your friends about it? Why haven't you told your fam about it? Why haven't you told your foes about it? Let them know about For All Nerds. And while you're at it, make sure you hit those subscribe buttons on YouTube, because you're watching us right now. You're seeing our beautiful melanated faces. You're loving all of this gloriousness right now. So stop watching and lurking. Hit the subscribe button. Follow. Join the fan. We love you for it. Thank you so much for all the support. Boom. And then the other thing that I didn't want to discuss during the spoiler-free part, and that goes back to the River of Music and everything, was the appearance by the legend Buddy Guy at the end, which blew my mind because, as you know, Buddy is one of those people who is a big influence on Hendrix. He is a blues legend. I honestly did not know the brother was still alive. So I was just so happy because I see his name in the credits. I'm like, Buddy Guy. And then he's, the old dude on screen playing blues. I'm like, oh, it's fucking Buddy Guy. Because I don't even know what he looked like at this point. And so I was like, oh, nah, that's Buddy Guy. And so that was just so great because you get to see, the living representation of this river of music who is, from that era and is still here. That was just so dope. And to have that actor playing him, and it's like Buddy's playing, a character. He's not Buddy Guy in the film.
He's playing Sammy Moore.
Yeah, Sammy
Moore. Played by
Moore.
Miles Caton.
When my man said Sammy that one time, I was cracking up. The vampire when he was like, Sammy.
Yeah. The vampires are so funny. They're so funny.
They are, but like I say, you're gonna have to watch Lost Boys after this because it's like it just goes. Because what's his name? Kiefer Sutherland is the head vampire. So you want to talk about a charismatic asshole? Young Kiefer, like young pretty Kiefer, doing his full on Kiefer. Like, it is. It's one of the things. And so but no, that having Buddy Guy in this movie. And then just that, like I said, I could talk forever about that scene and the music going from blues to hip hop, to Africa, to seeing the like dancers from West Africa, to see just all the type of things and how the music, even though I was, in love with whatever, but I give the man his props and how he blended the blues and you hear the twerk come in, you hear all the different range of everything. You see the guitar player who's like a little Hendrix, a little Bootsy Collins in there. It was beautiful. That was beautiful.
Yeah. And that's the scene I was referencing in the spoiler-free part of our review, just about what actually made me cry. Like,
okay.
I wasn't tearing, I was crying. And again, just being sensitive to music and Pharrell says it a lot, the sonics, just being sensitive to how sonically how it hits your body and how it evokes thoughts and memories and emotions. And then for Ryan and Ludwig and everyone else involved in that scene to tie it into the diaspora and tie it into our story. And again, I'm referring to Black Americans, but to tie into that Blackness of culture and of course, then the extended diaspora where we all come from, our ancestors, like using that aspect of, as mentioned before, the power of Black people and the ways that some of us are so gifted and inclined that we break the physical and spiritual barriers and space-time barriers through music, nigga, who like, and then to turn around and personify that very thought and show me on screen, and that you said it, what I was thinking just about the fact that then to seamlessly blend different music together, like floating around the room where you are, them niggas was having the best time of their life at that, as they call it, the juke joint in the club, right? Think of, as a millennial, think of you sitting there with your business casual on and wherever club love or whatever, and you having the best night of your life. And you are dancing and you are just in flow. And you're fucking, and just to say, yeah, in those situations when it's that deep and connected, your ancestors is right there. That shit just, everything I'm saying is what, like, literally all those thoughts entered my head as I was watching this, and I was just in tears. And then what made it, like, all of that's made it so powerful. And then the cherry on top was when, because there were two people in it that were Asian or of Chinese descent, their ancestors were there too. Mm-hmm. And that's what I'm talking about when I say Black people will never do what the fuck our oppressors do to us. And we are not the fucking same. We don't exclude. We don't do that shit. That shit is not natural. That shit is on some evil blood shit. I'm telling you, when this is natural to us, if our people will get the shine that they need and the image that we need. If there's other people around, we're gonna feature them too. Like, that was a conscious decision, right? Yep. You have two, and I don't know if the people in real life are Chinese. Let me see. It's Yao Bochao, yes, and then his wife, the lady who played his wife, Lee Jun Lee, Grace Chow, yes. For them to have their culture also just expressed and so beautifully and in flow with Black culture, like, and you know, we always talk about that, what they said, the Black and yellow persuasion, the Black and yellow connection, right? Like, to see that, like, because you know Ryan said that as he was writing it. The Black
Shout out to the Jamaican Chinese, boy. Like, there are like so many. Chinese.
For him to say, yo, we're in the 30s and they're in this town that's all Black, and the supermarket, the general store, is owned by the Chinese people. Like they are we all together in the neighborhoods. We grow up together. We live together. You understand? Like, that shit was, for it to be set in that time frame, it was reflective of modern times. It was, anyway, I'm going off the deep end now. I'm just saying that scene and everything about, like, the integration of cultures or the intersections of cultures really touched me.
I think I was more sitting there like, God damn it. Like,
you're right. Well, Ben, like you said, you're not the only one with the idea. And yes, it was represented on a different medium, but your book came out first. So
I know, but it's niggas still gonna call spiders.
No. And you know what? Honestly, the way it's done in Hendrix is different. Like, it may be it's similar theme, but we were saying
it's that same
but
thing.
It's not executed the same way.
No, it's not, because it's two different mediums.
So I say that to say I don't think anyone will really truly call you guys biters or anything like that.
No, because I don't think, I mean, one, Sinners is done to reach a lot more people than Hendrix did. So
well,
let's keep it a buck. You know, this is a big movie. You know, Hendrix is a big
I just think that aside, it being two totally different genres, I think you'll be fine.
No, I'm fine. I don't think
mediums.
I think only I'm even going to make that comparison. Or, you know, there are a few other people will. You know, definitely people who've seen both will probably make the comparison. But like I say, I'm just also happy to see that idea expressed more, because something as, like, you know, when you talk about music, I remember you know, this is my life. Like, this is all I do and think, breathe, live. And that idea is something that I've thought, breathe, live since the beginning. And I've always tried to explain to people, like, especially the era that I came up in as a DJ, every party was like that. You know, we didn't just play hip hop or whatever. You know, we played everything, because, you know, that's hip hop started as a music form where the original hip hop DJs there was no hip hop records. Mm-hmm. So all the records they were playing were other forms of music that they made into hip hop. Mm-hmm. And so that was the approach that we took, you know, especially the generations that I came up with. It was like, you played everything. For one, there wasn't many hip hop records still. You know what I mean? So to fill up a party, you had to play some Michael Jackson, you had to play some Gap Band, you had to, you know, go back and you had to teach people. You know, that was what we were always about, teaching and showing you the past and showing you the future through that same route. And that's why we put that, you know, that's why I put that idea into Hendrix, because it's just how I've always lived through music. And it's, once again, like I keep saying, this one form of music. It changes forms due to technology and things, but we're always making blues. And you can put this, there's a thorough line. You can play all of this shit together. It all works together because it's all Black music. And I just love to see that. That was a really beautiful, like, we put it in the physical form. To see it in audio and visual form is really dope. And it'll really get across this idea to a lot of people, which I'm just always happy about. Mm-hmm. More people will start to understand the death and power of Black music. Like that was our thing in Hendrix. We talked about how Black music fuels our revolution.
Mm-hmm. And that's, Black, go ahead.
And that's what I want more people to understand, is how Black music is like, it's the center of Black culture in America.
Yeah,
it is, it is everything to our culture and to our life. And that, anything that expresses that, I'm just fully behind.
Yeah. And Black music is music global.
All music is
global
Black music.
Force. Yeah. That's, you said the same thing in a different way.
Yeah.
All music is Black music.
It all comes from Africa, fam.
Yeah. All music, Black music is music. Listen, again, just the power of music and what it could bring and what it could open up and the doors. Again, another reason why I'm always just so deeply interested in what it means to, and also just in this particular time frame, like as a Black person, like you purposely being silenced from doing things like playing music, right? The music of your people, right? Let alone the music you make up right then and there because you're looking for solace in something, right? Or you're looking for a different world than what you're currently in. You do that through the music.
Who was that who played Sammy's father? The preacher.
Well, the preacher,
I know that actor, but
his name? Oh, Saul Williams. That was Saul Williams.
Oh, that was Saul. Okay.
Yeah, that was Saul Williams.
Saul and Leon, like, slightly resemble each other. And I wasn't,
they do slightly resemble each other,
especially as they've gotten older. Because Leon is like Leon's
gotten more
Saul.
Hairy.
Yeah,
and Saul always had hair. And Saul used to. I don't know if he sings anymore, but I know he was a
poetry.
But I thought he was like he did R&B for a little bit too.
I didn't know that. I know he did the poetry was where I first knew him.
Or singing or something.
But probably like sing poetry, like some of that. Yeah.
Just maybe two more things for me to mention before I'm done. Just as I mentioned, just the inclusion of cultures and stuff like that. And even though it was short, it was brief, the inclusion of the indigenous peoples.
That's something
that mattered so much.
I was mad they didn't come back around.
I wish there was more, and perhaps that was just something that got cut and or they didn't have time or whatever.
Yeah.
But like, I would have loved to see more of that because to be wonders, like they're in Mississippi in this, if I'm not mistaken, are they in Mississippi in this setting?
I wasn't 100% sure. I know they left Chicago and came back to
the South. The reason also why I'm saying that is because they're, at least on IMDb be wrong, but it says Mississippi Choctaw Horseback Scout.
Okay.
So I was trying to remember, was it all centered in Mississippi, right? Or did they even say? They did say where they were.
Yeah.
But anyway, I really, the First Nations being representative like that. You have to.
Yeah.
They were there. They are with Black people. You know what I'm saying? Like, just again, the people we all were together in this. We've always been together.
No, I always point out to people
to have them there, like, yeah, they're there too.
Yeah, and I always point out when people like don't understand, like Native Americans or First Nation and why it's so important to have them in this. I always ask, do you know any? And just and why don't you know any? Because they didn't enslave them. They had another solution for them. And that's why, a nation that went from millions to however many there are now, a nation that, covered this nation and people, covered this continent and people. And now, do you know any Native, First Nation people?
That's just fucked up.
It is. And that's what I mean. So that was beautiful. And I wish they'd come back around. I wanted to see them whip some vampire ass.
Well, yeah, that. And I just love seeing that representation in film because you don't get a lot of it in general. No. And to see, like you said, that they was there to whip ass and Mans was on the run.
Yes.
Mans was on the run from that because if they caught his ass, it would have been a fucking rap.
Yeah.
Like that shit was phenomenal.
That would have been a great prequel. Maybe one day somebody does a prequel and shows where because
how they hunt the vampires.
Yeah, because it was like he was running and burning. Like they had his ass running in the sun.
His ass out there. He was down bad.
Yeah, like he was down bad. So
if they didn't let his ass in, that would have been it.
But what happened? What happened before?
Yo. Yeah. And I just the last thing I want to say, I just really wanted to give a shout out to Jamie Lawson, who played Pearline, the love interest of Sammy.
Oh yeah.
First of all, I was every time she went on screen, I went like this, like my mouth dropped. She is so beautiful.
Yeah. No, she's stunning.
Her beauty just remind me of my last point, just of how beautiful we looked in Sinners. Mm-hmm. We as a people, our skin, most of the people on screen were dark skinned or darker brown, whatever. And to see the melanin richness, like we were shining.
Yeah.
I ain't talking about grease. I'm talking about
Thank you. Not in a belly way. Not in
I'm talking about belly. Vaseline on the face. No. I'm talking about our light. Mm-hmm. We were literally glowing on screen. And it takes directors and people like Ryan Coogler to bring that out in us. So that's all I got to say about Sinners. I fuck with it. A+, 100%. Y'all won.
Yeah, no, I fully agree. Like I said, I want everyone to see this film. I think it's the best film I've seen this year. I fully expect it to be on my top 10 list at the end of the year. And as I was walking away from the theater, I was like, yo, people, because Mickey 17 is one of the movies where I feel like it's going to be on people's top 10 lists and Sinners ain't. And I'm going to be real tight at the end of the year when I see that happen. So I'm looking at y'all, because y'all look funny out there just giving movies hype because it's a great director.
Yeah, but I actually remember Mickey bombed, so you don't have to worry about that. But
no, but that don't mean bomb. Don't mean anything. People still be putting them on their list.
But it's not popular. How about that? But from everything I'm seeing, I think Sinners is going to do it. In terms
it's going to be the number one movie this weekend. It's going to be big money. Yeah.
First of all, they've been and it was getting on my nerves. They spend
all their money.
They have been promoting this movie for like a year and a half. And I said, nigga, if y'all don't stop showing me a Sinners IG ad in 2023.
Everywhere I went yesterday.
And it's so funny because we're always complaining like there's not enough promo. Now we're like, get this shit out my face and drop the movie. And it wasn't because I was just like, drop the movie. Yeah. Drop the movie. They dropped it and holy shit. Yeah. No, I think Sinners is it's gonna be number one, but it's gonna do it. It had the big buzz of, I don't know if it's same as if it's true as of today, but it debuted with 100% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Yeah.
You and I are probably gonna be contributing more to that 100%. Yeah. It maybe it's at 99 now. I don't know. It's gonna be one hater. It always is. But nigga, y'all better see this fucking film.
There used to be this one black dude who people would wait for his review because he was always like the biggest hater.
Oh my
God. But it wasn't New York Times, but he was like big time, and his reviews would always mess up the perfect scores. So I don't know if he's still writing though. But no, it's definitely getting thumbs up for me. I want everyone to see this immediately. See it again. Like Tatiana said, see it on the biggest screen you can see it on. No, it's pure thumbs up. It's definitely, and as a vampire film enthusiast, it's going in my top 5. I'm a Lost Boys addict where that's my number 1. But ain't much else where I would be like, is above this as far as vampire movies after Lost Boys. I'd put, Sinners is gonna have to, battle for the number 2 spot with everything else.
Yeah.
I like them more than I like Dusk Till Dawn. Yeah. Because it's like I said, it has that same plot, but it the blackness of this just, puts it so far, leagues ahead of Dusk Till Dawn. Dusk Till Dawn had Salma Hayek. That's the, big draw for that. Look, that was prime Salma Hayek days.
I understand.
Yeah, prime.
I get it.
That was just like, Shorty in this one. But this, this had, I don't, what's the actress's name again? Sammy's girl?
Masaku.
I mean, Wumi.
Sammy's girl? Jamie Lawson.
Yeah, Wumi is
Wumi is also
woman.
Fucking incredible.
Yeah,
but
I appreciated all the love scenes in this film as well. I definitely did.
Yeah. And I was right. There's one hater got to be because of that 99% right now, which I'm still looking at 100%. So
yeah.
In any case, I think that's it. That's our review. Thank you so much for listening. Appreciate you. I'm not going to say everything that you need to do, but as y'all know, please subscribe, follow, rate, all of that with us. We appreciate it. It helps us, help you, help me, help you, help them, help everybody else. Okay. Follow us for all nerds, forallnerds.com if you want a cool t-shirt, like Benhameen has the Magneto is right tee. We have mad amazing designs. Please get them straight from forallnerds.com. That is how you support us directly. You could go to Patreon as well, patreon.com/forallnerds. We have guaranteed at least one episode, sometimes two, Patreon only episodes every month. We do have giveaways. We just gave away an Apple AirTag along with a working man high-vis vest. We're going to give y'all so much random shit that we can find or we can take from these studios and give it to you. And again, we just appreciate and salute to everyone who's been with us. Shout out to the fam. We love you.
Word. Go see Sinners.
Go see Sinners. Hey, what's up, internets and the fam? This is Tatiana King for All Nerds, and I want to thank you so much for listening and watching the For All Nerds. Make sure you like and subscribe to us only on YouTube.
For All Nerds Show is a member of the Loudspeakers Network, where we always say rest in peace to our founder, Combat Jack.
For All Nerds Show is powered by our listeners. Everything we do, from our podcasts, live events, our website, are all independently funded. Please continue to support us through our Patreon page at patreon.com/forallnerds.